Hey everyone, welcome to the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show. We got a great episode for you today. We are going to be talking all the latest news and headlines in the world of NFTs, including some big news out of Doodles and Pudgy Penguins, two projects that we've talked about over the last year and also in recent weeks. Major news that could impact the entire NFT industry. We also will be diving into Dookey Dash later on today's episode. We have a special guest joining us to play that game live. We'll hear all about his experience with Yuga Labs, what he's doing in the game, any tips and tricks he has, and see what's ahead for Yuga Labs. All that and more. Don't go anywhere. This is the Roadmap. All right, everyone. As I said, this is the Roadmap, Benzinga's NFT show. We got a good one today. We'll be talking later on about Dookey Dash once again, showing some live gameplay footage. But before we get into that, let's get started with some news and headlines. And in order to do that, it's time to bring on my co-host and producer, Alyssa. What's up, Alyssa?
Hi, what's up?
Always this big news in NFTs, right? Like we were just on 2 days ago and we were talking about some of these projects that, have really kicked off 2023. I mean, we're 26 days in now and like NFTs are seeing volume come back, they're seeing sales come back, and we're also getting like these massive updates from these companies. So I don't know if maybe we should just dive in, right, and get started here with news out of Doodles.
Yes.
So we were just talking about Doodles the other day, right? They were quiet for a while, and then they shared a little bit of teaser for Doodles 2. They've been hiring some people, and then they also made that acquisition that we talked about on Tuesday, right, of that animation studio that's worked on some huge TV projects before. And then we got the news yesterday that Doodles 2 is coming to Flow. And for anyone who doesn't know the Flow blockchain, this is the one that is owned by Dapper Labs. It is the home of NBA Top Shot. And they are going to do this, right, in order to have this cross-chain, this no gas experience. So you got this letter pulled up from the company. A new year means new opportunities and new adventures. We're opening the gates so Doodles can live everywhere. Following last year's duplicator airdrop and Genesis box sale, we're ready for beta entry. The first example of utility within the Doodles 2 product experience. So, I mean, this is important, right? We had the first evolution, we had Doodles, then we got these duplicators, and we kind of had this mystery, right? What's Doodles 2? How do the duplicators play in? And now we've got some more details, right? So we're going to get wearables, apparel, accessories, gadgets, and more. You get to kind of design that outfit and that perfect look. And then it says right there, a new dynamic NFT identity will now be ready to share across social media. And this is just the start of a new journey for Doodles as we develop the Doodles franchise and create experiences across music, animation, consumer products, live events, and more. We need an onboarding experience to our collectible ecosystem that is accessible, easy, and fun. As someone who's used Flow before, right? NBA Top Shot, NFL All Day, and others, I mean, you don't have to worry about the gas fees. It's very seamless, easy to use, which I really love that. And then, yeah, as we walk through the rest of the letters here, the original collection of Doodles, Space Doodles, the Duplicator, the Doodle Bank, and other unannounced experiences. Love that, right? A little bit of alpha. The future is multi-chain. Wherever you are, Doodles will meet you there. I kind of like that. That's cool, right? Like we hear a lot about multi-chain, but to really hear a big project like this say the future is multi-chain, January 31st, the first step in the Doodles 2 product experience will launch. So there's your date. That is 5 days away. Duplication is the first step of the Doodles 2 product journey. And there will be several videos, illustrations released in the coming days on what to expect. But to sum it up, the duplicator will mint the first Doodles 2 wearables. The next step will kick off about a month later when the Genesis box opens and mints the second set of Doodles 2 wearables. So here we have something happening in 5 days. And we also have something happening a month from now. So again, for a project that kind of got criticized, right, for being silent on social media, we now have had this attack in January of new hires, acquisition, flow, Doodles 2, and that's all happening, I mean, before the month's over. And then we turn around and in February, we're going to have the second part of this already. So, I mean, we called it out, I think, last week, right? The Doodles, I mean, it's a project to watch in 2023 for sure. And, you know, again, for as much hate as they got for being quiet, like, I think they're going to have a very exciting year. What do you think? What do you make of all these new details?
I honestly was expecting something like this from Doodles at some point in 2023, and it's nice to have it like in the first month. It was obvious to me that they were building behind the scenes, you know. The price never, hold on, let me pull up the OpenSea. Like Doodles, their community and everything, they're there. And you already knew that they were like building. Yeah, and like the criticism on Twitter, like, yeah, sure, they didn't post or interact much, but like they're building a brand, I guess. I think I brought this up last Tuesday. Yeah, last episode. Like, we don't hear from our big brands now in Web 2 world land.
Yeah, right.
I think Doodles is taking that approach more so, but like it's not like they're going to be totally out of the loop. Like now they're here and they're going to be here.
Definitely. Got to shout out Shannon here in the chat. Hey, Shannon, what's going on? Alyssa, if you can pull up that tweet from Poopy, of course, one of the Doodles co-founders. He's got this cool video that kind of walks through the experience. So I really like this, right? It shows you get to customize, you know, something for the head, the body, the legs, and the feet, right? You get to make essentially this whole outfit for your character. Now, one of the things about NFTs for a while, right, is like PFPs. They're like, you know, just from here to here, sometimes here to here. And now we're getting like this full body experience, right? Which as we head, you know, to the metaverse, to these different experiences, I think it's important. And I think we were early with some of these wearables before. And now I think we're kind of ready to dive in. Yeah, this thread from Poopy, though. So we've got frictionless conversion is critical for mainstream success, which I love, right? You can create a wallet by signing into Gmail and buy wearables with their credit card in just a few clicks. It's how Top Shot got 400,000 people to buy their first NFT. I mean, Alyssa, I go back to some of our very, very first episodes we ever did of the roadmap, right? When we started interviewing these founders, these artists, you know, a lot of them said that they got their start from NBA Top Shot. It was one of the first NFTs that they ever bought, right? It was super easy to do. You didn't have to create, you know, this wallet. You didn't have to have Ethereum. So again, one of the overriding themes of NFTs is to onboard, you know, the next million people. Well, how do we do that? Here's a step in the right direction, right? Making it easier to do from the start, less friction. Like I like this, and I was so happy and interested to see them partner with Flow. You know, we keep hearing a lot about, you know, Polygon and, you know, some of these other chains outside of Ethereum, but now this Flow, like, I think could be one to watch. And again, as NBA Top Shots kind of faded away, I don't think we can, you know, forget about Flow and what that did for NFTs overall.
Yeah. I'm trying to digest this more. um, so we'll be able to sell the wearables on the flow. Is that what's going on here?
I think so. It looks like so your doodle is actually wearing its wearables on chain.
Yeah.
I don't know if I know the answer. And also I should highlight, I believe that a couple of the Doodles founders, right, previously worked at Dapper or with Dapper. So there is a connection there. So this was speculated for a little while that eventually Doodles and Dapper, either via Flow or something else, could end up being connected. And I think this is the start with that. But I don't know the answer to that of what exactly you'll be able to do and sell. But yeah, and then Poopy also clarifying duplicators are staying on ETH and will be used on more NFT collections. So that's something important. And then I love in this thread here, Camel from Sappy Seals saying, "Bro, I swear to God, I've seen the word frictionless everywhere recently. It's the new synergy for real, for real." And Poopy said he'll replace it with something more buzzy next week. So frictionless, yes, is becoming a big buzzword, right, within the NFT community. But again, I think it's important, right? Again, as we try to onboard more people, like it is about frictionless, right? It is about being able to pay with a credit card, set up with an email, right? Not have to set up, all these other steps. So,
well, yeah, haven't you ever like try to sign up for something and it's just so many steps you just give up and forget about it? Because it happens to me all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And then I did see a tweet from Alexis Ohanian, of course, the co-founder of Reddit. He is a big investor in Doodles. He invested in both of their rounds. And he said, "Do it different. Build from first principles. Doodles 2 launching on Flow is a big first step in their multi-chain journey to grow into an entertainment empire." I mean, that's pretty bold, right? Entertainment empire. We hear a lot about companies, trying to be the next Disney, the next Marvel. But obviously, like some of these people wouldn't be investing these millions of dollars, if they didn't believe that there was, potential for some of these collections. And that's not to say they're all gonna hit the home run. They're not all gonna make it. But again, I just feel like Doodles is doing a lot right here now.
Yeah. I don't think Doodles is going away, and I'm just interested to see what Doodles 2, like what's gonna come in the future. Are we gonna be able to sell the clothes or the wearables on Flow? And like, what about the future? Like, what can I do with my Doodle and all these wearables? What are they making?
It looks like so this article that Alexis shared, the Decrypt one, it looks like the items will be tradable on the Gaia marketplace, which is on Flow.
Okay.
So that answers a little bit of that.
But now what about like why are we putting wearables on it? What can I do with my Doodle? That's my question still.
I'm sure we'll get more
We'll know it later
eventually. But yeah, the Gaia homepage even has Doodles 2 and it says coming soon. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't own a Doodle. I've never owned a Doodle, but I definitely think, and as this Decrypt article too says, it's the first high profile NFT to start on Ethereum and shift over to Flow. Again, as Dapper Labs and NBA Top Shot have kind of, seen a decline, this is pretty big deal for them.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see if that can keep the momentum going for them. Also, will we see other projects, shift over to Flow now, right? Is Doodles going to be the one that gets things started, right? As we see, Solana, Polygon, some of these other platforms used more outside of Ethereum. I think that's, interesting. Also, the timing of this acquisition to go along with this. Like, again, Doodles has so many pieces now to start the year. If I had the money for one, I mean, that might be one of my 2023 investments. But again, like these have held up pretty well. Obviously, they're down, from the peak, but throughout this bear market, and for them being, quiet and getting all this hate, that still trended and still was doing really good. So
right, yeah. Do you think a lot of these NFT projects are going to be the next wave of entertainment? Like, yeah.
I think so. I think back to like that Disney point, I think maybe like, did we set the bar too high, right? Like, everyone wants to be the next Disney. I did see a cool quote the other day. It was like, it might have even been about Doodles. It's like, Doodles isn't the next Disney. They're the next, DreamWorks Animation, or the next like smaller studio, right? You don't have to become the next Disney. Like, everyone wants to do it, but like,
you can still be big.
Nickelodeon, right? The next, like, let's aim a little smaller. Let's be more realistic. But I really think, and Doodles has got, music and, movies and stuff like that written all over it, I think. Remember, like, they still have like an album coming out at some point, and music stuff with Pharrell. We might get more details on that eventually. So like 2023, they just could they could have a new update every month, realistically. And
starting now. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, remember, we saw that a lot last year and even the year before, right? Where people wanted constant updates. And if you weren't getting like a new airdrop or a new mint from these projects every month, like, you were gone. You were like, nope, on to something else. And not to say we should have that, but your projects who are doing that now, I think, are definitely going to get some headlines this year. So, and here we are talking about it. So, I mean, to prove that point. So, but yeah, so that's what we got for Doodles. That was, one of the big ones. And then, speaking of multi-chain.
Yeah, wait, hold on. They did a tweet 22 minutes ago.
What is this?
Duplicator supercharged with endless utility. The initial function creates wearables, planned upgrades. Learn more here. What?
Oh, there's that duplicator.
The duplicator. Start your journey. Is it just the link?
It might be. 3
extraordinary models. Very common, rare. Buy duplicator. Okay.
I think it's just more details.
It's just more details, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. They did say that there will be more videos and tweets released.
And duplicators on OpenSea, it looks like 1.25 floor right now.
Where's my OpenSea tab?
I mean, maybe that's the play. You don't have to have a doodle. Maybe
you mean?
You get
maybe
if you have a duplicator.
True. Analytics. Okay, it's just not gonna. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there's a little spike. I'm gonna go to 90 days though. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is.
So that was the play all along.
Apparently, you had a duplicator.
Yeah. But our other big news that I saw was Pudgy Penguins, right?
Yes.
So Pudgy Penguins also announced some cross-chain, and this is for the Lil Pudgies. And this also happened yesterday. So we got this on the Pudgy Media site. It says Lil Pudgies are now cross-chain, setting up the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem to reach and impact millions. Like millions.
Millions.
Again, not going small here. The reality of the current NFT paradigm. And it says millions of people had the chance to get their first taste of NFTs. Despite this huge initial increase, there remains one major hurdle to overcome. Ethereum is an ideal base chain, but it also, has the experience that's not as friendly for new users. So they are doing cross-chain to try to, eliminate some of those hurdles.
Yeah.
Layer 0 is an omni-chain interoperability protocol that makes going cross-chain possible. So they're using Layer 0. These will be chained with Polygon, BNB Smart Chain, and Arbitrum. They selected those 3 based on rapidly growing usage and exposure. Polygon's been a partner with a lot of different ones recently. So this is very exciting, though. We talked about Pudgy's, just being the project not to bet against, right, this year. You heard it from Luca at Benzinga's Future of Crypto, that 2023 was going to be the year of Pudgy Penguins. I didn't even look at OpenSea. 0.62 floor price right now, Alyssa.
For
Lil Pudgy's. Yeah, we definitely had a spike up January.
Nice.
In the last hour, 4 Lil Pudgy's have sold. Like, they're moving on up.
This is gonna update. Let's go here.
We even gave away a Lil Pudgy last year before Future Crypto, remember?
We did.
And I feel it was like, it cost us like 0.25. So whoever got that,
pretty good.
If you still own it, like.
Would you sell it if you went up Little Pudgy? Or would you hold it?
No, I want a Lil Pudgy.
Well, get it before too late.
I know. I feel like we still got time before it like goes. And again, not financial advice, guys, but before it hits 1 ETH. But I do think Lil Pudgy's could hit 1 ETH this year.
Yeah.
It kind of goes back to what we said with Yuga Labs on Tuesday, right? Like, if you can't afford a Bored Ape, what do? You either have to get into like a DAO or something where you can own like a partial stake, right? Or you go for the next entry point. So you get a mutant ape, or you get a Bored Ape Kennel Club, or you get an other deed, right? Or you buy ApeCoin, or you buy a sewer pass. You do whatever you can to get into the ecosystem at that cheaper entry price. So for Pudgy Penguins, Lil Pudgy's it could be the play, right? Because it's that cheaper entry price. They're utilizing it right after the previous ownership kind of ignored them.
Mm-hmm.
Luca's talking about Lil Pudgy's all the time. The community is as well. Pudgy Penguins, remember, is growing out like with the toys, the books, the plushies. Lil Pudgy's make sense within that, right? Like, so. Yeah, and shout out Moose. He was doing our Twitter Spaces yesterday. I was able to tune in to part of that. And then Moose actually had an announcement. Oh, is this an hour ago? Yeah, the Moose token. We'll have to have Moose back on to talk about that because he is building. So,
love to see it.
You love to see it. The other one, if you go to OpenSea here, if you go to the stats, Alyssa, before we bring on our special guest, we got to talk about what is that at number 1.
1 second. Oh.
Did you see that?
Porsche.
Click on it. Look at that floor price.
Okay.
Remember what these were to mint? They were 0.911.
Yeah.
They didn't sell out. Everyone hated on them. Then they cut their supply and finally like started talking about what the utility was and what they were going to do. And all of a sudden now the floor price is up a ton. Like, I'm not buying. I wasn't going to buy at 0.911, but like, it's kind of crazy to see that these are like crazy, taking over now. I don't know if that 2 ETH floor price can stick around. But I was surprised to see this one number 1 today. So to anyone who decided to actually mint one,
congrats.
Congrats, and don't be afraid to take profits. Just gonna throw that out there. So yeah, but all right. Well, I think it's time. If he's ready to go, Ryan, give me a thumbs up. You good here? All right. Well, it's time to bring on our special guest. As I said at the start of the show, right, we were going to talk a couple headlines, but then I was super excited to bring on a friend of the show and Benzinga's own Ryan McNamara. He is a mutant ape holder, and he's going to be playing some Dookey Dash and talk to us about all things Yuga Labs, and NFTs. So welcome to the roadmap. Ryan, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Chris? Hey, Alyssa, how are you guys doing?
We're doing great.
Good.
So happy to see you on the show and taking time out of your day. So for anyone watching and listening, Ryan, I mean, some may be familiar with remembering you as the co-host of Moon or Bust, crypto and NFT show here with Logan. But give everyone a little bit of background on yourself, your early history with crypto and NFTs, and what you're currently doing with Benzinga and elsewhere.
Yeah, sure thing. So I've been in the crypto space a while. I first got onboarded to crypto through investing back in the end of 2016. So got in at a pretty good time right before the 2017 bull market. And the reason I actually got in is because I wanted to start investing, but I wasn't 18. And Coinbase didn't KYC back then, which is surprising because now you have to tell Coinbase absolutely everything about your personal life to invest. So I got started back at a pretty good time. Just with Bitcoin and then a little bit of Ethereum. And I never actually used Ethereum's blockchain for like participating in ICOs when that started taking off, but I did use it for NFTs and I had no idea what I was doing back then. I interacted with CryptoKitties, was messing around with that just because I got on crypto Twitter really early and then everybody was complaining about how Ethereum's blockchain was clogged with CryptoKitties. I said, this is something, let me check it out. Let me get a MetaMask wallet. So without knowing what NFTs were, they weren't even called NFTs at the time. I messed around with CryptoKitties. And then, fast forward a couple years and I get a job at Benzinga. I start writing all about crypto and NFTs. That really took off. And now, I helped with the crypto event that we had in December. That was awesome with Gargo from Yuga Labs and everybody else who attended. And now I'm still working in NFTs at Origin Protocol as well as Benzinga. And Origin Protocol does a lot with real world use cases of NFTs. And I saw you guys were talking about Pudgy Penguins earlier. They are actually our partner as well. So we create their white label marketplace. And we just launched Polygon support for them so they can integrate. I wasn't sure why we were doing it, right? They kept really quiet. I just
it all makes sense now, right?
They don't tell me anything. Yeah, they're like, we're marketing this, but we can't say what it's for yet. But we're going multi-chain with some certain marketplaces. And then I wake up the other day on Twitter. I see Pudgy Penguins is going multi-chain, or Little Pudgy's is going multi-chain. I'm like, okay, so that's what it is. So really interesting developments with Pudgy Penguins and a lot of interesting stuff going on at Origin Protocol. We're actually ramping up for another NFT real estate sale in partnership with Roofstock. News under embargo, but we're starting to tease it. No details I can give yet, but stay tuned. You guys will probably see that in the news come next week, I think January 31st.
Little alpha there. We always like a little alpha on this show. So Ryan, anyone who's watched you on Moon or Bust, or maybe if they follow you on Twitter, if they don't, it is right there on screen. They know that you own a Mutant Ape Yacht Club NFT. Tell us a little bit about your Mutant Ape and when and why you decided to buy that.
Yeah, sure thing. My mutant is dope. I love my mutant. So I followed Bored Ape Yacht Club for a long time, Chris. I know you did too, covering the news. I probably first heard about it. I actually first heard about it from a Benzinga intern, the intern that was able to get the two. His name was Drew. He got two Bored Apes and he was telling me all about them. And at the time, I was aware of NFTs, but they were just cartoon monkeys to me. So I followed the news. I read your articles, Chris, and I kind of got entrenched in the space and what Yuga Labs was doing. But unfortunately, by the time they hit 15 ETH, I was priced out of a Bored Ape. So I was just following it. And then Mutants came out. And luckily enough, I had enough ETH liquid to pick one up. So I got one like the day after the Mutants minted. So I've been holding it for quite a while. I got it for just under 7 ETH. And then the floor price went down, to 3. And then I was telling everyone, these are going to be a good investment. You should accumulate. So they've done pretty well. I've held on to this one. I have no plans on selling it anytime soon. I mean, just all of the different assets that you can get airdropped by being part of the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I think that's the most compelling part of holding the NFT. I mean, you look back, even just for Mutant Apes, like Bored Apes aside, Mutant Apes got ApeCoin, they got Other Deed Land, they got the Sewer Pass. Like you've almost made back your money buying at this price if you were to get all of those airdrops over the past year, right? So to me, just fundamentally, they seem undervalued in that regard. But also, I like to invest in the biggest brands in the space, the tokens with the most memetics. I don't hold Bitcoin right now, but I hold Ethereum and I hold a lot of different like DeFi protocols that people know about, right? So that's kind of the way I invest because I think they have the biggest chance for success. And I mean, NFTs are so new that the returns, I think, will be absolutely astronomical over the next few years, as long as you're holding something that is sustainable and will still be around in a few years.
So Ryan, I have to ask, you mentioned, these airdrops, these claims that you get as a mutant holder. So sewer passes, which leads to Dookey Dash, the game, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. Did you have in your mind, like, was there a price where if you woke up and sewer passes were at, 5 ETH, 10 ETH, 20 ETH, was there a price that you were willing to sell your sewer pass? Or was this like a no way, I'm going to hold this because I want to play this game?
I'm not married to the sewer pass. I do like holding Yuga assets, especially as the NFT allocation of my portfolio is basically just my mutant ape and then whatever Yuga Labs has given me since then. So no, but I will say that the other day I was considering, if I sold the sewer pass now that I got, mutants have dropped, and then I sell my other deeds, and then I sell my ape coin, I could just almost get another mutant. So that was a debate I had. I didn't pull the trigger. I don't think I will. And the reason I'm not going to is because ApeCoin staking has been absolutely insane. Yeah. So I want to hold on to that ApeCoin, and then I don't get to play the games if I don't have the ApeCoin, right? So if I can stake the ApeCoin, then I can use that ApeCoin to play these games. It seems like it's going to be a little bit more fun. As for an investment, like, I don't know, maybe 2 mutants would be the better investment, but it's really hard to say right now.
Yeah, and there's that ApeCoin. Ryan, I shared on Tuesday's show, maybe last week as well. I actually bought some ApeCoin a couple weeks ago, right, leading into Dookey Dash, because it was one of my thoughts was like, hey, wait a sec. There's a power up. People are going to be buying ApeCoin. Like, realistically, it should go up. So that was my bet on it. I also wanted to buy a sewer pass when they were under 2 ETH, but I didn't pull the trigger. And of course, once the tweet came out from Yuga with the picture of kind of the mechs, we saw the price go up again. So, but you claimed your sewer pass. And then, I mean, were you playing this game right away? Like, as soon as it came out, like, was that all in, diving in and playing nonstop? Or what was your start to Dookey Dash here?
Yeah, I got the notification. I had to play right away. So that's what I did. I got scored maybe like 25,000 pretty early, and I was ranked 975. So I'm like, let's go. Yes. Like, I'm good at this game. I'm going to get a rare mint from this. And then turns out that I have a full-time job. I can't grind it. I also don't know any professional gamers to play for me, and that seems like what it's coming to now. So now I think my high score is around 92,000, and I'm ranked like 9,000. So it's like super, super competitive. I mean, I don't think people really predicted that people that own sewer passes are going to give them to professional gamers to get them a higher score. That being said, I had a pretty good prediction about sewer passes. I tweeted it out when they came out, saying I thought it would be an easy play to get into sewer passes, because as people realize they're good at the game, they'll buy more sewer passes because they can capitalize on the rare mint that they get from the high score, which is, similar to elite gamers. It's probably going to keep increasing, because as these elite gamers start talking to their friends who also are good at video games, they'll say, hey, I started playing this game for these NFT folks. And then they say, well, why don't we just buy these NFTs? Why don't we buy them and compete, get as many as we can, get up in the rankings, and then sell the rare mint?
Yeah, Ryan, I mean, a couple points off of that. That was going to be one of my questions for you, is we're seeing more professional gamers get in. And I saw a fun question on Twitter. It said, honest question for Gordon and Garga and the team. Did you anticipate ticket holders playing other games for high scores / rare mints? Do you see this as a good thing, bad thing, or neutral? And Gordon said, free skilled base mints on this scale are new. Did we anticipate this being so successful that the top scores would essentially become a pro gamer competition? LOL, no. So obviously, like, I think they were surprised by it. But what's your take on that? Like, do you think people should be hiring professional gamers? Like, do you think there should be almost like I mean, you can't really install it, but some sort of like honor system of like, hey, like, if you own the pass, you play the game, don't hire someone out.
I mean, I'm pretty libertarian. I'm going to say, do what you want. If you can get a better score, get a better score. Like, you're not necessarily cheating the system. You're not hacking. So there's that aspect. It does, make it a lot less fun for holders that do want to compete with each other. And I do want to say that Yuga Labs probably should have known that this was going to happen. They they aren't a startup anymore. You know, they're a multi-billion-dollar company that has the best talent in the gaming space. They know how competitive games work, and they know that if people can capitalize on a rare mint by getting a higher score, they'll go to any means necessary to do it. So they anticipated people would try hacking them. They should have anticipated this workaround as well.
Yeah, I think I even saw someone like tweet out at Ninja, and it was like, Ninja, I'll give you $1 million if you play this game for me. I've seen some other big esports people getting into it, but you made an interesting point. If you're a professional gamer, and like, let's say you get hired by a ape holder to play the game, you start playing for them for a while. At what point do you just buy your own sewer pass and play on your own, and maybe make more money down the road? So like, is that what you would do if you were a gamer? Is like, hey, I don't need to, you know, lease someone's sewer pass. I can do this on my own.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's the play. And with that being said, like, as much as Yuga Labs didn't expect this, and maybe it's a negative, I have seen some people say, hey, wait a sec, there's a positive here. We're having gamers come over from Web 2 to Web 3 now because of Dookey Dash. Like, so there is sort of that positive going forward. But I don't know if you've got any take on that. Like, is this a positive and a negative? Is it all one side? Where do you stand in the middle there?
Yeah, I think it's a positive and a negative. And traditionally, gamers don't really like NFTs. I think it's good that they can get in and like see what NFTs are really about, because I feel like when you talk to gamers about NFTs, they just think, oh, you're trying to charge me more for the game I want to play. They're not really seeing all these different new dynamics that can be brought to light because of NFTs.
Definitely. Well, Ryan, are you willing to play some Dookey Dash here and share this game with us? We've been talking so much about it. So I did see a tweet from you too about jury duty the other day, and how you weren't able to get out of jury duty to play the game. So you missed out on some game time there. You mentioned your full-time jobs. But any guess on like how many hours you've put in, or how many times you played this?
Ooh, I would have to say probably average like an hour and a half a day playing it. So I don't know, maybe like 8 hours.
Are you getting better as time goes, or is it just sort of the same?
Yeah, and that's the dynamic of the game I really like, is you do get better the more you play, because you get used to the increased speed of the game. So, you know, at first I was getting like 25,000, then I was stuck around like 30, 40,000 most of the time, even though I got 60,000 points once. And now it's like, I'll usually, if I play well, I can get up to maybe 70, 80,000, but it's hard to, you know, break the new score. You have to get used to playing at the higher speeds, which I thought was interesting too. Like, if somebody made a clone of the game and just sped it up, and you could practice on a sped up version, I feel like you could get a lot better at the game really fast.
Definitely. Alyssa, any questions for Ryan here as he gets ready to share the game?
No, but I did see a lot of comments about like how people who've reached like 500,000 points, when they like lose and start the game over, it's just too slow now. Because they're so used to how fast it is.
Yeah, you get used to that fast speed. I could see that. Like,
yeah. No, we want to watch gameplay now.
Let's do it.
We do.
Ryan, we're so excited to have you on and to do this.
I'm excited to be here and play. You guys see my screen, right?
I think you got to share it. So there we go.
There.
Okay, sweet.
All right. So is that your high score right now?
This is the score. I just got 28,000.
Okay,
warm up.
Okay.
High score is 92,634. Okay. Hopefully we'll break it right now.
We're going to break it. Live on stream, guys. Do you not want us to talk, or can we talk, Ryan? I don't know.
No, you guys can talk. There's no stakes here.
Okay.
So I can give a few tips.
I keep seeing memes of like that cow, and how people like see that cow now in their sleep.
The cow is terrible. The cow is the worst item in the game. So the bigger the item is, the more it pushes you if you touch it. And the cow is like the biggest one. So like if I touch an item, like you'll get hit. That wasn't a cow though, so it didn't really hit me that much.
So what are some of your tips and tricks here, Ryan? You started to say that as we start in the game here, you can probably share some as we see them.
So the most obvious one is to be looking ahead to see what's coming. And you can't really do that if you're in the middle. If you're in the middle, you're kind of blocked by everything, right? Like you can't really see what's ahead of you. So you got to stay on the sides. That's one tip. Second tip, collect as many items as possible. Now, there's two reasons to do this. One is because they give you most of your points in the game. The other one is because Yuga Labs said mint what you collect. So I have a feeling that these items will be part of the mint, and it's not just going to be based on your score.
It's a great tip. Because I did see some people like, hey, don't worry about the items. Just worry about, you know, going through and getting to the end. But I think you've got to balance both, right?
Yeah, and possibly even not balance them and collect as many items as possible.
Yeah.
Because like it gets faster the more points you get. So if you try and score low but collect as many items as you can, then you would get more items on your run. So if you think that they play into the mint, you might not want to like try and get the extra points. There's a couple of ways you can get extra points. One of them is by dashing into large items like that. It gives you 400 points, or dashing through wood like that gives you 400 points as well.
Nice. So at what point do the speeds get faster? Is it every so often then, or is it like 100,000s?
Ooh, I think it consistently just gets a little bit faster.
Okay.
If you get the items, they give you more points. So it kind of speeds up. If sometimes you'll get like a burst of items and then it'll start speeding up. Something else
37, that was higher than your score before you came on. We're getting there.
Okay. Yeah, improvement for sure. What was I saying, Chris? I forgot.
I don't remember. I cut you off.
Oh, well.
I'm sorry.
All good, all good.
Another question I had for you. You mentioned ApeCoin and the staking. There is the power packs, right, with the ApeCoin. Are you using those a lot? Are you only using them then, like, if you get like a really high score? What's your strategy with the ApeCoin?
So I've used it a couple times. I want to use it more like the last day or the last couple days when I'm the best at the game. But sometimes if I'm running hot, like if I'm getting close to my high score, then I'll use one.
Okay.
And they tell you it's a 15% boost, but really it's a lot more than that, because it gives you a 15% boost on your score, but it also gives you a lot more items. So the items probably account for another 15%. And then one of the most helpful things is the third perk of the Power Shark pack is the booster that you have to boost through and like break things. It reboots every 3 seconds if you don't hit something. But if you have the Power Shark pack, then it's 1.5 seconds. So that's like a very common way you die in this game, is if you boost and you don't hit anything, and then you're stuck behind something that you need to boost through and you can't.
Okay.
And you also want to be boosting like way before you break through something, because there could be other obstacles behind. And you don't want to get stuck on them.
And now you said you've only played this so far like on PC, right?
Yep.
And now have you gotten like you know, like a gamepad, an external mouse, like any other tools, or you're just straight playing this on keyboard?
Yeah, I have my trackpad. I feel like it's a pretty good excuse for getting low scores, so I think I'm just going to keep it that way.
Yeah, I saw people like even playing it like with VR goggles, people getting like game controllers, people going, I mean, all kinds of crazy. But I mean, this is a big deal. This is a huge game. So, and you're tearing it up right now, right?
I can't imagine playing this with a VR.
Yeah, I think that's nuts.
Yeah. Throw up.
Yeah. You'd only be able to do like one run at a time, and then I feel like you'd have to take the glasses off. Or... I'm like scared to talk too much, right? Oh, no, of course! I said it. Did we hit 80? We hit 80. Okay, all right.
Well, we're running hot, so you know what we have to do.
Oh man.
Oh, JK, I don't have $1.94 of ETH in my wallet.
Oh, man. All right, we'll do it the old-fashioned way then. Oh, man, this is so much fun, though. Like, so you said you're playing, you think, like an hour and a half a day then?
Mm-hmm.
Did you play, like, a crazy amount, like, the very first day then?
I think the first day was a work day, so not really, but I've had, like, a day where I played a lot over the weekend. It's super addictive. Like the music's really good, and I wish I could play the music right now. And like the items too. The items, each like rarity has a different noise. Like the common ones just do a little ding, and then like they have these like godly noises that come out of the other ones. The legendaries are like this godly noise that happens for like a second and a half. It's just like, it's a very rewarding game to play.
Yeah.
Which, you know, this game gets me really excited for other side, actually,
Yeah.
because I feel like what Yuga Labs is doing here is they're getting a bunch of people entrenched in playing their games and getting them active with these competitions. And then by the time the other side actually comes out and is running, which Garga said at our conference, what should be Q3 2023, people will already be used to playing Yuga games, right? So they'll have that player base and then they'll be really active, probably the most active metaverse out there by the time it launches.
Yeah, I think to that point, Ryan, like what I'm really excited about is not to take away from anyone on the Yuga team, but they built this and they still have the new CEO coming over later this year, right? He's still at Activision because his contract goes into this first quarter. But like once he comes over and gets to see this game in action, gets to say, hey, here's what we could do better. Like, I just think this gaming aspect of Yuga is going to be huge. And I mean, like you said, Garga at our conference, I mean, you could see the excitement like in his eyes and hear it in his voice, right? To talk about other side. And that's what he's most excited about when they've already had all this past success and all these future projects, is to hear, hey, other side is like what I really want to do. That got me pumped.
I'm really curious to see how they distribute the other 100,000 other deeds too.
Yeah. Do you think that plays into this game at all? Do you think that's a possibility or no?
I think it's probably unlikely, and honestly,
Yeah.
I really hope not, because this was only airdropped to Bored Ape and Mutant Ape holders. That would kind of be sticking a bone into everybody who bought Other Side without a Mutant or a Bored Ape. I think everybody who owns Other Side should get the chance to get more land by contributing to the metaverse.
Ryan, if you had like however much ETH right now, right? Like not unlimited, but like you could buy any of the Yuga assets, what would be your biggest bet? Would it be Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, Kennel Club, Other Deeds, or Sewer Passes? Like, what do you think is the strongest play for the future of Yuga right now?
Okay, so if I had like 80 ETH and I could either get a Bored Ape,
I mean, would you just go Bored Ape, or would you try to stack up on the smaller ones?
I would stack up on the smaller ones. I guess it depends on what you really want to do. Having a Bored Ape, I think, is really powerful for even just social clout, or if you want to create your own brand.
Yeah.
Like you can do a lot with a Bored Ape. So there's definitely a lot of like untangible value that comes from owning one. But I wouldn't do that just because I don't have enough time to create a brand around my apes. So I would probably go with Other Side, actually. I'm really curious to see how the rare artifacts do. I think they're going to have some really cool dynamics with those. And if you can scoop some up now while the game isn't out, I think those could be one of the most lucrative ways to get into Yuga Labs. Obviously, that's just speculation from me. No one really knows what's happening with those artifacts. But when you see there's artifact with a limited supply, like the mechas, the mecha pieces, like there's 100 of those. If those are part of the new game dynamic that comes with the dogs versus mechas or MDVMNs, and there's only 100 of them, and there's 10,000 Bored Apes fighting to get them, I mean, that could be, over 100 ETH floor price.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I said like last month that Kennel Club was, I think, my favorite play because of the roadmap having the paw print and kind of the rumors of dogs being included in this game and the trial of Jimmy. And now that that floor price is up a ton, I kind of like the thought process of Other Deed. I mean, again, as excited as Garga was, I think Other Deed is still one of the best plays on Yuga. I think there's still big concern, though, about the supply, right? Because eventually there's going to be those other 100,000. The question is, are those slow rolled out, or is it like all at once? Because I think as long as it's slow rolled out, like a reward system, which is kind of what they hinted at before, I think we're fine. If they do all 100,000 at first, I think we'd see the floor price obviously come down. But I really like Other Deed as far as future growth.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be smart about it. I mean, I don't think it would be smart to launch until the game is out.
Yeah.
That would just be huge. It could really hurt the floor price since there's really no utility. It's all speculation at this point. If they launch another 100,000 of them, especially in a market like this, things wouldn't be looking good.
So it's like, is that like kind of your sweet spot? Your average, Ryan, is like the 30 to 40.
Yeah. Yeah. If I get up to like the above like 50,000, it's a pretty good run for me.
Okay. And I didn't even look. What's the high scores right now? They're in like the 600 or 700s.
Yeah. Last I checked, it was like 600,000.
Okay. That's what I thought. And then Alyssa, you shared that tweet that Dinglings, right, had some of the highest scores yesterday or the day before.
Yeah, like 2 days ago,
Yeah.
he was ranked 1, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Man's got money to buy or spend on gamers.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You don't know if he's playing or if he's having gamers play for him. I mean, as many Bored Apes as he holds and as many sewer passes as he has, like, I feel like I would guess that. Yeah.
Yeah. 652,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
Any guess, Ryan, based on what today is, how much time is left, what the final high score ends up being? Because you would assume or think that everyone kind of gets better, but also once you hit like those ultimate speeds, like you can only do so much. Do you think like 700, 650, you think that's kind of like the peak? Or do you think someone tops that?
There's probably a little ways to go, I think. It's going to get really competitive with the top 10 trying to get the key.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd throw out maybe like 850,000.
Okay.
But every single one of these in the top 50 is a Bored Ape paired with a Kennel Club, so they're all tier 4.
Tier 4. See, that's the other thing is, so, because then you get advantages, right, with the extra tiers. So,
right, and that makes even a bigger difference when you're up at 500,000 points, because if you have a tier 4, it's a 30% boost. So at 500,000, if I got 500,000 and somebody else played the exact same as me with a tier 4, they would get 650,000.
Yeah. I mean, I think that goes back to, what you were saying, Yuga rewarding, holders along the way. And you got in with a mutant and you've been rewarded, but the people who got in with that Bored Ape, at the start, they've been definitely rewarded and taken care of. As long as they didn't sell their Bored Ape. Shout out to Drew, who you mentioned before. So
don't fade Yuga Labs.
Yeah,
we've
that's
all
right.
heard it before. But I mean, it's pretty fair, I think. Like 15% boost per tier, 10 to 15% boost per tier. I don't think it's too bad. Like, there's a lot of Bored Apes that probably don't play the game. There's some that do and aren't that good. Like, there's still a lot of people with a tier 2, 3, or 4 sewer pass that I can beat. It's just if you want to be really competitive and you want the key, or you want to be like top 100, you're going to need a tier 4 sewer pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right though. That top 10, like the last like 3 days, let's say, is just gonna be like insane. Like if any of those people have a job, part-time or full-time, I mean, shout out to their employers, because you're probably getting a sick call those days. So I can't come into work today. See, I feel like if I played this, I would be so addicted and I would play it. And then also, like, once my kids found out, they would all want to play it. And I have seen that. There's people, like, having their kids play for, like, hours and hours. And then you hear the complaints of, like, is that child labor laws? Like, so it makes me laugh. Now, Ryan, Yuga did a mobile game before, right, of the Bored Apes and the Mutants, and you played that, and you actually were one of the top scorers, right? So you got a reward. But how does this game compare to that? Like, is it, this is completely, like, way better, way different? Is it just the evolution of time and them getting better at making games? Do you think they should make it to where you can play these games all the time, even after the challenges are done? Like, what do you think they should do with these games?
Maybe I should share my thoughts momentarily, but both games are really fun.
Don't let me mess
you up. Both games are really fun. The dynamics of this game are better. I'd say this game's marginally more fun. It's definitely more addictive. The last game, you had to grind, which was super annoying. This game, you don't. I mean, you do need a grind, but it's not time based, right? Like the other game, you had to be on constantly if you wanted to compete. This, like, your high score is the only thing that matters. Which this is for the stream.
Oh my
Let's
God,
go.
he did it.
Can we break 6 figures? Straight to first place. Just stay tuned. Oh, we
Oh, I was like being
Okay.
so quiet because I was like, I'm not gonna jinx this time. 115, let's go.
Okay.
Live on
That's
stream,
a good place.
Ryan's best score. Thanks to us. So that's awesome. Well, Ryan, we got a couple minutes left. Again, big shout out to you for coming on today. We appreciate it. We've been talking about this game. It's so exciting to have you on, play this game live, also hit your high score. I know you're a big fan of Yuga Labs. Any other NFT projects? We've been talking a lot about Doodles and Penguins lately. Like, what do you see ahead in 2023? Do you see some of these old OG projects really keeping their communities? Do you see any new mints doing well? Like, what's some of your overriding thoughts for NFTs this year?
I don't have any new mints on my radar. I think this year we will start to see some of those, what we used to call blue chips, start to fall off, because some of them I think will get washed out through the bear market. We're kind of seeing that with Cool Cats. We're kind of seeing that with Clone X, but like Clone X is owned by Nike. Not to say these wouldn't pump in another bull market, but we're kind of seeing who's building the most during the bear market. I think that's going to be what really pays off during a bull market. So my recommendation would be look to who's building, who people are talking about, and then get exposed to those assets however you can. Because it's really hard to tell what's going to survive right now with NFTs only being a couple years old. And whatever people are doing now in the bear market is going to yield multiples in the bull market.
Yeah, I like that thought. I think you're right. We do see some of these projects fade away, some that have been quiet. Unfortunately, yeah, it might be time. But yeah, I mean, you look at our show and we've been talking more about Pudgy Penguins and Doodles this year than I feel like even last year when they were hot.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're doing something right with their communication and their new launches. Acquisition wise, right? We saw Yuga Labs acquire CryptoPunks and Meebits last year. And then we saw Doodles this week acquire an animation studio. Do you think we see more of the Doodles move where you acquire, maybe media or marketing brands? Or do you think we see some NFT projects merging together later this year?
I think it's easier to acquire an NFT project for a Web3 brand than it is to acquire a traditional brand. But probably both. There's a lot of money in Web3. There's going to be a lot more when the bull market comes around. And I think we see a lot of these brands start to collect traditional legacy brands. So, I mean, we'll see what's to come.
Awesome. And then last question here, Ryan. You mentioned getting into NFTs with CryptoKitties, and before NFTs was like even a mainstream word. We saw Reddit launch digital collectibles last year, these avatars. We saw some projects start to go away from the word NFTs, right? Do you think we see that evolution this year of less people calling them NFTs? And are you a fan of switching to a new word or not using NFTs?
That's actually so funny you asked me that, Chris. This morning I submitted a story that said, like, we should stop using the term digital collectibles to Hacker Noon. So they like their controversial titles. So that's why I did it. But my point of the story was NFTs can be used for a million different things. And just because digital collectibles is 99% of the space right now, doesn't mean that's all NFTs are. So I think there will be NFTs used as digital collectibles that we'll call digital collectibles. But I think we need a new term for NFTs, whether that is NFTs, whether that's tokenization of assets or something else. Digital collectibles is just a little bit too narrow for what NFTs can achieve, because I really do believe it'll impact every single industry, and they're not just going to be a digital collectible.
Yeah, no, I love that thought process. Well, all right, we are out of time. Again, shout out to Ryan McNamara. You see his handle for Twitter there on screen. Make sure you give him a follow. You can follow Alyssa, myself, and Benzinga as well. The roadmap, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern time. Ryan, big thank you to you for hopping on the stream today. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Alyssa.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us today. Stay tuned. More great Benzinga content coming up soon right here on YouTube. And if you're watching us after this aired, make sure to give us a like and smash that subscribe button, and we will catch you later.